I hope you will forgive me this morning, but I thought the only way I was going to get through this was to have written text. We're going to do it a little differently this morning. I wanted to read you a children's picture book this morning that I particularly like, but when I went to pull the book off my shelf, all I saw was emptiness, and all my books I realized were in boxes sitting in Toledo somewhere. So I will have to just tell you the story that was written by Max Lucado called Herbie. Now, Herbie is an ordinary green caterpillar. He's constantly bullied and made fun of by the beautiful, colorful caterpillars. And at night he would pray to God, God, why do I have to be so ordinary? Why couldn't I have had bright stripes and spots like the other caterpillars? And every night God would answer, Herbie, I love you just the way you are, and I am not finished with you yet. Whenever Herbie would hear a cricket sing or watch an ant carry a heavy load, he would pray, God, why am I so ordinary? Why can't I sing like the crickets or work like the ants? Again, God would answer, Herbie, I love you just the way you are, and I am not finished with you yet. Of course, you can see the end of the book coming in that one night Herbie falls asleep, and when he awakes, he is a beautiful butterfly. But is this idea that God is not finished with us yet that Paul conveys to the church of Philippi in our reading from today? Paul was the original new church planter, or the original itinerant pastor, however you'd like to look at him. He would select the largest city in an area to make his home base. In the city, he would go to the Jewish synagogue where he would preach the good news of Jesus Christ. If the Jews would not listen, or if as in Philippi there were very few Jews, he would preach to open-minded Gentiles like Lydia. He would seldom stay in an area more than a year or two and then would move on to plant the next community. However, after he left, he would correspond with the leaders of the church, answering their questions, giving them encouragement, and sometimes even scolding them for forgetting so soon what he had taught them about unity and compassion. Paul was particularly fond of the Gentile church of Philippi. They had continued to support his ministry long after he had physically left them, and had even collected a gift for the saints in Israel. In this letter, he is trying to encourage them to stand strong in the good news and hope available to them through Jesus Christ. He is reminding them how precious they are to God and to him. He is reminding them that God is at work in and through them and is not finished with them yet. This seemed like the perfect text for a goodbye sermon. The sermon starter group thought that this might be a good time to explain a little bit about the way pastors get appointed in United Methodist churches, because maybe some of you have come from other denominations and other institutions where this seems very odd to you. There are basically 3 different systems in which a pastor can be appointed to a church. Some churches, like most small Baptist churches and many non-denominational churches, simply raise up a leader from among the congregation. The only requirement is that at least 51% of the congregation see gifts for ministry in this person. Other churches, like the Lutheran, Presbyterian, and UCC churches, have what we call a call system. When they need a new minister, they put out a call, or basically advertise in denominational circles. The process after that works much like it would in a business. There are resumes exchanged and interviews done. A pastor is hired, and they stay as long as the pastor wants or as the church wants to hire them. But United Methodists have something called an appointive system. In this system, pastors are moved periodically. The number of years depends on the set of circumstances. 5 years is probably about average. And the final decision as to who will go where is made by the bishop in consultation with the cabinet, which is made up of district superintendents, of which I will be one starting next week, and a handful of other conference staff. Each fall, both the staff parish committee of each church and each pastor is sent a form. If the pastor wants to move, the pastor requests a move from the form. If the staff parish would like a new pastor, the staff parish fills out those forms. When a change is requested, the district superintendent will come to the church, meet with the staff parish committee, and ask, what gifts do you need in your new pastor? And then the district superintendent will meet with the pastor and say, what gifts do you feel you would bring to a new church? Then the cabinet takes these profiles and begins the very difficult task of prayerfully matching the needs of a church to the gifts of a pastor. Now, sometimes there's no one requesting a move who meets the needs of a particular church. When that happens, the bishop has the prerogative to look at all pastors in the conference, and typically they'll look at all pastors who have been at churches at least 3 to 4 years, and choose one of them, even if they have not requested a move. When that happens, the first question that the bishop asks is, if we move this person, can we find someone else who will serve their church as well when they leave? There is never a desire to leave a church without an appropriate leader. This is what happened here at King Avenue. Marla Brown, the current superintendent of the Maumee Watershed District, asked to retire. The bishop looked around at all the pastors in the West Ohio Conference with this question: who do I want as part of my cabinet making those decisions of who will go where? And who can serve Maumee Watershed as their pastor to their pastors and their chief administrator? Although I am still amazed that my name came up, evidently I have to trust God and the bishop that was indeed the right answer to prayer. But before I was asked to make this move, excuse me, I have a cough drop in my mouth and I swallowed it wrong. The bishop would also have asked, if I move Linda, who can follow at King Avenue and serve them well? The answer to prayer this time was Colleen Ogle, who will be with you next week. Now, there are many advantages and disadvantages to the appointive system. The best part of it is that it reminds us constantly that God is not finished with us yet. We never have a chance just to sit back and rest on what we have already done. Each new pastor builds on the good work of the pastor before and adds to the church their own gifts and passions. Grayson courageously and boldly led King Avenue where no one had gone before. John Keeney has helped us to grow in discipleship by encouraging us to step outside our walls in mission work and in starting Stone Village. I hope I have brought a vitality to our faith formation through classes and new small groups. Anna has brought us a sense of delight and energy. Colleen will bring with her new ways to be in partnership with our community and an expanded sense of social justice. As individuals, we keep growing, and King Avenue will continue to find new ways to invite, welcome, and honor all people as we nurture them to grow in service with Jesus Christ. Because God is not finished with us yet. Here comes the hard part, saying goodbye. If you don't understand any of this, if I can't get through it, I would encourage you to read this on the blog this week, because it's already out there. On Sunday, June 1st, someone said to me, how many more Sundays do you have? And I thought about the question for a minute, and I realized the answer was 2. Until that moment, I'm not sure the finality of the situation had set in. Even now, there's something within me that wants to say, wait, I changed my mind. I don't want to go. I tried saying that last week at annual conference, and one of the other district superintendents looked at me sort of pityingly and said, Linda, there's no appointment to send you to. You're stuck now. But always in the back of my mind, when I want to chicken out, I hear these words from Genesis. And they said, come, let us build for ourselves a city, a tower with its top in the heavens, and make for ourselves a name. Otherwise, we will be scattered abroad the face of the whole earth. This verse is from the story of the Tower of Babel. Most people think this story is about pride, but when you read it carefully, you realize it's about fear. The people built the tower to make a name for themselves, not out of prideful desire, but because God had instructed them to go forth and spread throughout the earth, and they didn't want to go. Throughout the Bible, both Old and New Testament, there's a story after story of God calling or sending faithful individuals to new places and new people. Like the Tower of Babel, I am constantly tempted to make a name for myself so that I don't have to move out of my comfort zone. I think that if I just make people like me enough, they'll invite me to stay and I'll never have to leave and face the unknown. But every so many years, God seems to have other plans. And to remain faithful, I must scatter. I firmly believe that the plans that God has is not just for me, but for the churches that I'm serving. As I find myself repeating sermons and classes, I know it's time for someone new to come to King Avenue with fresh ideas and to take this church to new people and new places. As I leave, I can only say to you, thank you. Thank you for accepting John and me into your hearts and your lives. Thank you for overlooking my flaws and allowing my love for you to count more than my deficiencies. Thank you for teaching me what it means to be a faithful Christian, even when the odds are not in your favor. And thank you for dreaming, serving, and growing with me over the last 8 years. And finally, thank you for letting me go and answer God's call. So I end with these words from Paul to the church at Philippians. I thank my God every time I remember you, constantly praying with joy in every one of my prayers for you. Because of your sharing in the gospel from the first day until now, I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion. It is right for me to think this way about all of you because you hold me in your heart. May you continue to hold John and I in your heart as we will continue to hold you in ours. And may God continue the good work that has already been done here at King Avenue as you explore new horizons with John, Anna, and Colleen. And always remember, God is not finished with us yet.